Hello viewers, welcome to the Millennium TV, Bridging the Community Worldwide. This is Nazrul Haque, welcoming you to another episode of Community Dialogue. Today's my guest is very special, Mohammad Abuhaikal. Abuhaikal is from Alliance of Better Bronx, and he's been working with the community for economics and with the youths. Please welcome Mr. Abuhaikal. Thank you for here with us, and I'm very excited, and we looking forward to have a very great show. We have a lot of topic to cover in this busy news week. Before we go further and wasting any more time, I just want to ask you, Brother Abu Haikal, as a Arab American, as a community activist, I like to know a little bit about your area of work, what you've been doing, and how you doing your contribution, and tell us a little bit about your work.
Um, so again, as the viewers might not know who I am, so my name is Mohammad Abuhaikal. I'm an Arab American. I'm actually from the Holy Land. I immigrated when I was 10 years old, and since I have been in this wonderful country that we call the United States, I have been involved in two sectors of our economy. One of them is actually, financial economy, financial sector, and also law enforcement. And taking those two areas of expertise that I have learned in the past 20 years, 10 years to 15 years in the financial sector, including a combination of the law enforcement, I was able to bring it forward to our community. And that's understanding certain laws and certain activities that can help better educate our youth, that can be from development and strategy that can allow them to earn more income, obtaining better jobs, understanding the interview process, and also understanding certain laws that can help them stay out of trouble. Our youth is, at this current time, is a struggling growing up in a very, very harsh
How long
environment.
you living in the state?
Of course, I've been living in New York for about 21 years. I immigrated originally to the Bronx.
And when you say Holy Land, you referring
Reference
Jerusalem,
Jerusalem,
one of the Holy Land.
the Holy Land.
Thank you. So, I mean, certainly when you talking about you from Jerusalem, and that's give me a opportunity. We got a little bit talk about Jerusalem. Are you involved with the situation there back home, the social situation or political situation going on lately?
It's very, very, it's a difficult situation over there right now between two religions. They're fighting for territories. You know, my family's over there from my dad's side and also my mom's side. You know, when they immigrated back in the late 1950s into the late early 60s actually. And when I was born over there, you know, and I was raised over there up to. And given the dynamics of the fighting, it's really, really difficult to see what's happening over there. These fightings between the Jewish religion and also the Islamic religion. For me to be involved over there, it's a very, very sensitive subject because I have family there. And when I go over there, I was recently in August. It's amazing how two societies, two cultures do live together, but they're far apart. When we want to bridge that gap, how do we bridge it? And because of so much difference between them that they're fighting over a piece of land, it makes it harder to bring peace. Peace is attainable in that region. I believe within less than 10 years, it can be attained.
So what is the main barrier? I mean, you look like you really have a first-hand information over there, and you know that the worldwide people, I mean, there's no one country in the world is not involved with this Palestine issue, one way or other. Not only the government, only the people. All the people are directly feel about it, this region, feel about the problem. With your view, can you tell me what is the one single main barrier to achieve the peace or two-state solution? What is the main barrier?
It's very simple. It's a simple solution. You have to give what the people want. The people of Palestine wants to be visible. They want to have their own land. They don't want to be pushed. But then you also have the Israelites. They want to be visible as well. And what really need to happen is you need to have the peacemaking. And how do you do that? Is when you have no longer of outside forces come in between them. Let them get together at a table. Bring their differences.
So, I mean, this is you talking about a process. I'm asking you going, so what is the main barrier that has been 40 years? Oh. This process is now going through. What is the main barrier or main obstacle here? One or more than one or single main problem?
It's respect. That's the main problem. It's respect.
Respect. Now, I have a observation and feeling that we know this is not a power balance over there. Definitely is one side stronger than other, and there is the victim and there is the aggression.
Yep.
And everybody worldwide is sympathizing. A lot of American people sympathize with a lot of victims in that region.
Of course.
Maybe our American government have a different policy, but American people have a different feelings. Now, there is observation is a lot of Arab countries who stay away from the issue, don't want to get involved, not direct, neither indirect, and it's clearly they have like closed eyes. And I don't want to name the country, you know what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
Why you think that's happening?
Very simple. Politics plays a big part, and also the amount of influence from outside territories. We're talking about these surrounding countries, these surrounding Middle Eastern Arab countries that don't really want to be involved in a situation that's such a conflict because it fears the ripple effect if they go against protocol. Politics inside that region, it's literally destroying the region. It's destroying the countries intact. And when you have two big forces, two outside big forces, you have the Western country and you have the Eastern country, which we already know that we're discussing from politics point of view. They're trying to fight over the power of that region. Because that specific region, Israel and Palestine, it's a game changer. And if we take a look at it, it's precisely, that entire region is focused on Jerusalem. Because Jerusalem's history has a lot of significant of historical information that goes to the time of Mohammad, that goes to the time of Jesus, goes to the time of the trip of Moses and Abraham. A lot of religious historical information that went through that region. That region is the key, and that could be used as peacefulness when everybody plays nice. And the outside influence around it don't want to be part of it because they're afraid of the ripple effect and the consequences that follows when they go against protocol.
Listen, all my life I was observing the Jerusalem, and that area is like a balanced, most violent place in the world. Now, look at what happened recently. All of a sudden, from nowhere, Syria and Aleppo and all these other area in between Iraq and Iran become worse than Gaza. So now we know the Gaza, where there's always was fighting between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and Gaza. There's a not balance in power, one side stronger than other. Now look, here is no Israel presence, obviously, and who's killing what? Look what happened to Aleppo. Aleppo is a desert right now. Aleppo is like a no man's land. And now who are we going to blame this? Like, we're killing each other. What is just telling me, just like, what's wrong with the Middle East? That's what people say. What's wrong with the Middle East?
The Middle East is engulfed.
The Middle East is engulfed in its own self now. Middle East, we talk about Syria, we talk about Iraq, we talk about Iran, we talk about even Libya. Those countries, and again, when I say those countries, I mean the 25 Arab countries. They're going through a rapid change. You had a lot of dictatorship, and you have a lot of, you have kings and queens.
It looked like that was work over there.
It looked like it was working, but then when you have an uprise, you have a lot of suppression, and when you are a dictator, you actually can influence certain individuals to have them carry on the message. But when you have rebellious group that want to cause an uprising, that want to fight for certain freedom, and you arm them, you provide them for the necessary tools that they need to move forward and take action in order to bring democracy to those regions. Of course, you're going to have consequences. You're going to have fatalities. But what a lot of people don't really understand is when you have a rebellious group, when you have a civil war in a specific region, you're going to have consequences. It doesn't mean that the country is going to go back to its original status. It's going to take probably 30, 40, 50, 60 years before the region and that specific country goes back to what it needs, which is jobs, currency in value, homes.
See, all saying, even America and anybody else, all saying that Iraq and Libya is better off, even Egypt is better off with Saddam and Gaddafi and Hussein. Everybody is agreeing now. All the uprisings went wrong. Now, look, I want to come back here. I want to change the gear a little bit.
Okay.
As a Muslim American,
Yeah.
I see one thing. We're talking about unity here. You are Muslim American. You see all this thing happening in the Middle East, and they cannot do a lot of things over there. I see there's a crisis in Gaza many times, crisis now in Syria, in Libya. There's a lot of Muslim American here, and I should say precisely Arab American. Let me ask you this as an Arab American. Do you think Arab American are doing their fair share or playing their role here in this country while they're sitting home to helping the home back home?
I don't think we're doing enough. I can
What kind of activity they're doing? Because I don't see anything visible when things happen. When I organize a protest to support Gaza, I don't see any other protest organized by any other Arab community. So what is the failure over here as a Muslim Arab? What are we right now? How are we doing our things here in American society?
What we have
a major disconnect. We have groups that are divided. Okay, I have been to some of your rallies, as you have seen me around, and what needs to be done, it needs to be unified. It needs to have a specific organization that can be the center, the nucleus, and that can connect to every organization. And when you call for I don't want to say protest, for a rally, for Gaza, for Syria, for Iraq, for Iran, for whatever country, even in Bangladesh or Pakistan, anything that has to do with Muslim nation that needs our support, there has to be a call for action committee. That once that action committee is called upon, the following organization, those specific leaders have to step up to the plate and say, okay, we need the following date to be set up, we need the following time, and we need the following organization to get together. And when that specific leader for that specific group calls, the people have to unite, and they say, well, you know what? Our country needs us. Our religion support is needed there, regardless of our ethnicity. Regardless, we need to be there. And that's a disconnect that's currently happening. I don't think we're doing a lot of support.
With the same light, I want to follow up this question. As a Muslim American, as an Arab American, the community of Arab Muslim American community, do you think we have any kind of, or what kind of relationship we have with the elected official? What kind of what I should say, any channel we working together. We have to have a working relationship. And I give you an example what I mean by that. I see with Jewish people, they are much smaller than us. They have a political pact. And they build this political pact and they influence their elected official. And they try to achieve their goal. There is no Jewish senator, congressman, anything, but there's a lot of senator, congressmen, they're speaking on behalf of them because they influence and they work with them and there's a relationship. What do you think as an Arab community or Muslim community we doing in this kind of, what level our work is doing?
If we take a look at the outside groups, I believe that there is groups that they work with politicians. There is, but they don't grasp the right individuals and they don't grasp the right influence to those politicians. I don't think we have enough Muslim religious politicians. That's what I think we're lacking. When you said there is no Jewish politician, but there's politicians that are helping Jewish neighborhoods.
Yes.
But if you look at some of these high politicians, they attend religious organizations. And if their faith happens to be Jewish, they're there. But we take a look at our religious. When we have a religious event, we do have outside politicians who are different faith. They do come to our religious events, but we're still lacking religious Muslim politicians. We're lacking that. I don't think there's enough of that, because if there is, then they create a pact, as you mentioned, and then what they do is they can help us convey our message to the political world. So when there is a need for it, then we can bring it to them and they can help us. But we can still go to our local politicians and get the help, but it's not going to be as dedicated as a person who has a faith.
But listen, it's not about just going there. What I have to say that you have to influence him to achieve your goal. And if you want to influence him, you only way to influence him, you have to get the quantity and you have to get united and create a fund, contribution, build a pact, and they have to see that your power and your influence. And I don't see enough, my opinion, the Muslim community are so far failing to do so. And that's we're lacking big time, because this is the time we must do it. We must do it and do it now. Like moving to the next thing, I want to ask you that you see recently a magic word is called Islamophobia. Forget about what Donald Trump say or what and say. It's there all the time. Is maybe it's just sparkling now.
Yep.
Who you blame for Islamophobia? Is it just like somebody just spark it, or also we are as a Muslim community we're lacking things? If you sit back and doing things, so what is in your view? Is it an Islamophobia is really existing, and if it's so, what percentage of blame should our community should take instead of other?
Islamophobia is very, very, very interesting topic. The reason I mention that and I say that is because Islamophobia could have been stopped if we had the committee, like I mentioned to you earlier. If we had this committee that's unifying all ethnicities of Muslim individuals, and like you were mentioning, bringing a strong voice who's going to be able to project it, it's going to be able to convey to the American people, to the Western people, say that Islam is not about violence. The attacks that are currently ongoing throughout the world is nothing but mere act of fear to instill in people. And what is the best way to instill? Utilizing religion, group, a name that can spread and label every single individual out there who is Muslim. And if we would have had that strong influx of all Muslim individuals and have that individual that's going to be the voice of the Islamic people, and have, like we talked about, the politicians stand up together with us, walk with us and say, Islam is about peace and it's not about violence. And what gave it the boost is the presidential race. We have an individual who's currently running, who's a nominee for the past year, going around and patronizing our current sitting president and saying this is Islamophobia. And we do have a couple of officials who come out and say, hey, Islam is about peace. It's not about violence.
Forcing Obama to calling a Muslim people as a radical Islamic terrorist, and again, President Obama tried his best to explain what is the definition, and he explained that how patriotic is the Muslim community, how much contribution the Muslim community doing to our society, how the middle class are building the country, how we're serving in the armed force and police force and fire department and everywhere. And he come to his knee to prove that Muslim is part of America. They're all brother. They were a sister. They're like as good as anybody else. And Michelle Obama said everything. And at the end, also Obama urged the Muslim community that they need to do their part. And when he said they need to do their part, that's really stuck in my heart. I said, like, he's asking us to do something. He's begging us to do something for our part, because he's here down his knee, defending us and supporting us. And we can just, our leader, our Islamic leader, our religious leader cannot sit home and relax when things happening in the name of Islam, and you cannot just sit home and relax and watch the TV and not opening your mouth. I'm going to say this one thing. It's really bother me. How cannot you sit home and just, if you just calling me a thief, I have to come up, open my mouth and say, look, I'm not thief because I'm a good gentleman. So when things happening in the name of Islam, the Muslim cleric and Muslim religious leader don't come out and speak on this, don't say the explanation, don't bring this as a part of the khutbah, that's mean a mixed message for some people hey, look, these people may be in the behind the door supporting all these bad elements, which is not true. Because tell me, when is the last time you seen after an act of violence happen in the name of Muslim and the criminal use the word Allahu Akbar and group of Muslim come out with the cleric and protest that act? I didn't see yet. I want to see in the New York City a big rally protesting against that act of violence in the name of religious and say this person cannot be part of Muslim or any other religion. But I find incredibly all this Muslim leader is so silent. And that's what Obama once said, President Obama, you have to do your part. I mean, you have to wake up, you have to find the bad element within your surrounding, and also you have to protest for good, bad thing. That's also, this is what is, what do you call, when you're supposed to protest the bad thing. What do you call this? You're supposed to stop your bad deed. This is a part of your iman. It's supposed to part of bad deed. But when you see a community of Muslim leaders come up and criticize any act of violence done by happen to be a Muslim born individual, I don't want to call him Muslim. He's born as a Muslim.
Yeah. We don't have unity. Your answer, I'm sorry, my answer to your question, we don't have unity. The Muslim group is divided. We, as individuals who are Muslim faith, we failed. We failed. I'm going to tell you why we failed. We failed because the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and every other prophet throughout the history, and it's not so much in the Quran, and throughout all religions, they all preached similar things. Peace, love, and harmony, and also unity. If we take a look at it now, you have poured your heart out, and it's touching. New York City itself is the key city and the capital of the world. What we need to do is, like I mentioned to you before, we need to have that action committee that brings all ethnicity of Islamic beliefs together. And our president has called upon us to choose a specific leader who is not afraid, who's going to be able to stand up to those individuals that are going to utilize the name of Allah in vain and deny it and say, we are not violent. That individual who conducted this act of terrorism and used the Islamic name does not represent our religion, nor does he represent any other religion. Once we bring that forward, and once we create that, any future act of terrorism that's going to be called in the name of Islam will be denied, and we will project it to the world. Because New York City is the key city that can project it to the world.
You strongly feel that as a community-wise, we must be respond to the act. We cannot just things happen and sit home. And I want to talk more about it, and there's many other issues. I really like what you just said, but the viewers, we're talking to Brother Abuhaikal. We're talking about a lot of our Muslim community issues. We've been talking about a little bit about international issues like Palestine and other Middle East problem. When we come back from the break, we will talk about the latest election-related news and issues. In our, we know that we have a big election, American election coming on November 8th. We want to talk more about it. Please don't go away. We're coming back in a short break. Thank you very much. couple of years. Well, welcome back to the Millennium TV, Bridging the Community Worldwide, where this is Nazrul Haque, your host for Community Dialogue, and today is my guest, very exciting guest. His name Mohammad Abuhaikal. We were talking about bronze community, Bangladeshi community, Muslim American community. We talk about a little bit in Palestine and Middle East situation. And right now, we like to, for moving forward with these issues we have and the news we have, mostly for this our election, upcoming election for November 8th. As you know, today and last couple days is called November surprise or October surprise. We really get a new few bombshell coming out for election. After the third debate, almost everybody thought that is almost election is done deal. After Donald Trump calling a nasty omen and also he making the remark he's not going to accept the election result. It's very much was he was far behind the Hillary Clinton, and things just interestingly getting changed. And one thing happened today. There's a big thing actually happened. Is it today or yesterday? This FBI director James Combs write a letter to the Congress about this private server of Hillary Clinton. So this news is just so important. This why not just because why what he write a letter. The majority leader, Democrat leader for Senate, Mr. Reid, respond to Mr. Combs' letter saying he may violated the rules. Is called the Hatch Act because of his disclosing in 10 days before the election this sensitive thing, and he's not only calling him he violating the Hatch Act, he also accusing him for double standard. Same time, while he's sitting on the evidence of there's a linkage between Donald Trump campaign and the Russian government. So there's the two things. Is I don't know how. What you think? How much damage is going to do to Hillary at this point? And the argument that Mr. Reid making is it make a sense? Do you really think that FBI director he is violating the law or he is disclosing this thing? Is it illegal somehow, as Mr. Reid claiming? Go ahead.
The first thing I want to say is it's an October surprise. That's why it's called October surprise. I truly believe that this can hinder her campaign, Hillary Clinton's campaign. But I don't think it's going to be that much damaging because Hillary is a great individual. She's a great politician. She has a great team behind her. And they already came out in the past couple of days, saying, what did you find? Let's bring it to light. And she's doing what is needed by her team to be done. I believe if you bring the information to light, why is he reopening the investigation? On what ground is he bringing the investigation to light? Then he has a specific point where he can damage her campaign. As of right now, from yesterday's information that I was received and was watching the news, they're saying that the investigation is not going to be complete by election day. So by next week, November 8th, the investigation is not going to be complete. So that really does hinder the public perception on her because it's really he is trying to damage her reputation.
When you say he, you mean that
Combs.
Combs? So Combs intentionally he bring this just right before the election. I'm saying why he doesn't do it in 1 month ago or 2 months ago? And is he trying to influence the election? And do you think somehow he's violating the Hatch Act?
I think everything has a time, specific time and point where they can bring forward to the public. I believe that given the certain circumstances that occurred with former Congressman Weiner and his scandalous on the computer with his now I believe ex-wife, I think that gave them the opportunity to move forward and try to tackle and capitalize on damaging her reputation. I truly believe that it is within his right as a director that he is within his scope of duty and within his right to bring it forward to the public, to the American public. But I don't think it's the right timing. I think for him to try to bring this forward is really hindering her. I don't think it's truly going to damage her to the point where she can't really come back if she falls behind the pole.
Well, I also think that is not going to be damageable, and I think that James Combs did it intentionally. That close of the election, and that will create the question of his credibility. Switching a little bit over here, what you think the possibility? I mean, there is a high possibility in the rating that Democrat. I mean, they're almost thinking that they're going to win the election. Even the Republican think that Hillary going to win the election. And already House Speaker, week or 2 weeks ago, he switched his direction. Instead of winning the presidential election to moving to the gaining the House and holding the majority. So he working on that. Now today I did the report. I'm saying there is a multiple way for Democrat. All they need to gain the 5 seat, to gain control back. So do you think what is the possibility that Democrat can win the House at this time?
I think it's a very high chance of them, the Democrat, winning the House. I truly believe that you have a divided Republican Party. You do.
Yep.
And when you have a divided party, I think it's a strategy that Democrat could utilize in order to sneak in and win the seat. And Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, when you're actually the individual who was not supportive of your Republican nominee, and then you're supportive, but now you're not supportive, it really does project a wrong vibe to the American public who are part of your Republican Party. And that causes confusion. And when that causes confusion, individuals, voters become undecided. And they're going to favor the right individual that speaks to them. And if Hillary is projecting the right words, given the right policies that's going to be in play, and that's going to help the middle class, or the lower class, or even the upper class, in order to bring the economy up, lift the economy, as we should say, and move America forward, then they'll vote for her. Voting for her, she gets
so
the...
even though this email thing is upsetting for her, you still think they will be able to control the House? Gain the House.
I believe, regardless of whatever the emails is out there currently, with this October surprise, I think we're just so close enough that I don't think it's going to damage her to the point where she's going to fall behind the pole. I think she might be above, she might tie, she might fall maybe by 1 or 2 points, but I believe that we're not even done with October surprise, even if we're in November. I think we might be a little bit more surprise for us. It can be tomorrow, it can be Friday, it can be right the day before the election. It can be a toss-up. It can be the October surprise is not over. It can be for Trump, or it can be for Hillary. So at this current time, it's still really, really hard to say, can she lose or if she's going to win? Because there's still a little bit more information that can be surprisingly brought to light.
Now, speaking of more surprise, I think I have a surprise for you right here. So, going back to this Donald Trump situation a little bit.
Yep.
So there is another surprise happened. I don't know. It is surprise enough for you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a letter was sent to the Wall Street Journal, signed by 370 economists,
Yep.
including 8 Nobel Prize winner economists, and they're all saying that is so dangerous for Donald Trump, economic wise, nothing wise. So dangerous for Donald Trump to become a president for America, economic wise, and they're claiming him that he's misleading the public about the job and growth. He's misinforming the people about the electorate and degrade the trust in public institution and conspiracy theory. And he's a very unique. He's in danger, in a unique danger, and functioning Democrat and economic institution and prosperous country. So they really give a bad rating him. And you're talking about the 8 Nobel Prize owner. They also talk about this the Trump, what the Trump was saying, the lower the seriousness of national dialogue by saying that a deficit can be reduced by eliminating government agencies such as Department of Education and Environment Protection Agency. That's what he's saying. That's how he's going to. What do you think? I mean, there's somebody in the right mind that he's saying he can lower the deficit by closing the Department of Education and Environmental Agency. So this is such a. I think it is a very upsetting thing. And there's a long letter. There's a lot of. I just give you a few quotations. There's a lot of things they put together, and they find him the warning the voter, saying the very danger to be Donald Trump becoming president economic-wise. And you also know that this is the first time the 5 living presidents also warned a voter not to vote for Donald Trump. And that's nothing to do because who is opposition. Even Donald Trump is like running an election by himself. Still, these people don't want to elect him because he's just not competent. He's just lacking.
We have to take a look at a few things first, okay? In order to dissect Donald Trump, you have to take a depth look at him. Donald Trump is part of a society that he's already in the know. Okay, that's one. Number 2 is Donald Trump is not a politician. He doesn't speak like a politician. Donald Trump is a person who is a businessman. So he understands somewhat of an economic, financial sectors for business owners and also for businesses. He's also a real estate tycoon. And when you have 8 Nobel Prize winners, also former presidents, including an active president, come out and say that he is not fit and he is dangerous, it's a statement that speaks worldwide. Donald Trump is not in the right state of mind where he can go and say you need to get rid of the youth educational side to try to bring the deficit. I think our youth itself is the key to a successful economy and a successful growth of the United States, without a doubt. So when he says that makes him very dangerous. Because now you're playing with our educational and future. That's one.
Listen, it's very there's a lot to cover, and I wish we have a more time, but we very almost end of the show.
Okay.
We've been talking a lot of stuff, but here I want to touch a little bit. Um, let's say Donald Trump accusing the Hillary for one thing again and again that she creating all this recently all this problem in Middle East, even though his Middle East problem is there,
Yeah.
and he accusing her for creating for ISIS. Now, do you think if Hillary Clinton become a president, what kind of foreign policy you can view or imagine or you can in Middle East, in Palestine? I want to say two important. Now it used to be one big issue with the Palestine peace. Now we have Syria and Iraq, even other. How you think things can change if she becomes president in foreign policy wise?
She's known. She's known to the world. She's known to foreign leaders. She can.
But Donald says she's the one created problem. She knows everything, but she's the created problem. Now, do you think she can solve any problem in the
Of
next?
course. It's if he's accusing her of causing these mishaps in the region. I don't think he was in the knowing. I don't think he was part of these development that occurred overseas. I think if she's elected as a president, I think she'll do a wonderful job. I think she'll be able to continue her agenda in order to bring peace to the region. I think by her calling the foreign diplomats and foreign presidents, foreign ministers, and the kings of that region hold a unified meeting to stabilize the region and to bring unity and to call for peace, I think she has the capability of doing that.
Do you think she will approach at least or try or able to achieve ultimately a two-state solution? What her husband was trying to do?
I think, it's funny that you say that. That was in 1994, if I remember, 1994.
She was very close to do that.
It was
and
very close.
We have a minute to wrap it up. So
Yes. I wanted to say a quick thing. I was about nine years old, I believe, or 8 years old. And
you were very young then.
I was young, but I was witnessing it on television. And I did see the unfortunate event that took place in that region when there was a peace signing. That was about
It was
to happen.
this close to two-state solution.
Absolutely.
And they said that Yasser Arafat walked away from the deal, but we don't know what is the truth. Well, who walked away from the deal?
But if also you remember, there was an assassination of the president.
So, I mean, without going back to history, do you feel that we can see that kind of approach again under the, because Obama didn't try or cannot even do it. Maybe he couldn't do it.
Obama couldn't
He
try
didn't get-
because he was bringing our United States economy from a brink of collapse. We're talking about the Great Recession.
Yeah, but
So he had a.
he didn't focus at all in the Palestine issue.
Well, because
He was focusing all Middle East, but not there. So I don't know. We hope for the best. I wish that Bill Clinton. We always think the 1 and 2. I think that Hillary will take some of the bill wisdom with her because he was so close to do the deal and so honest to do this. And we're going to end this show today by hoping that Hillary Clinton get elected and we can get a better peace in the world and Middle East. And I'll give you 30 seconds to do the closing remark.
Sure.
I want to thank you for again, Mr. Brother Mohammad Abuhaikal, to come here, Millennium TV, and join this community dialogue. I'm sure our viewers have a lot of opportunity to know from you. So please say your last remark before you go.
Absolutely. I think Hillary will do the great job. I think she will finish what her husband has originally started. And I just want to say thank you to Millennium TV. And I truly believe that moving forward with our election process and also having our public participate hard, you get out there and you vote and you keep watching us, keep watching Millennium TV, keep participating in the community. And thank you very much for allowing me to be on the show. Thank you very much. And
thank you for coming to the show, viewers. I want to thank all of you to join us today. We've been invited. Our special guest is Brother Mohammad Abuhaikal. He's from Better Bronx and economic betterment for young and youth and activists. We have discussed a lot of issues in the Middle East and also here in the home. We talk about Islamophobia, we talk about election, and latest September bombshell about this um, new news about Hillary's campaign and Donald Trump campaign. And we're wishing that Hillary Clinton will win and we will have a better world and better peace in Middle East and throughout the world. And until the next time, we will look forward to another show. And please join us and keep watching the Millennium TV and keep watching the Community Dialogue until the next episode. Thank you very much and have a good night.